I ever have. As long as it's not like more than half Angora, it's probably fine.
I've done half Angora before and enjoyed it.
Oh.
But they have other ones.
I mean, I never have. I'm just talking out of my rear end at this point, but...
Are you still working on that vest? Yay, in your little piggy bag.
Yeah. Okay, we can start whenever you like.
Are you going to go first so that I can finish this row?
Sure.
Excellent.
I'm at the beginning of this, so... The row, I mean... Hello.
And welcome to the Knit Girls. My name is Laura, also known as Lala.
Do you feel off because I said hello first?
So
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is Tuesday, March the 20th, 2018.
I also feel off because it's the 20th of March.
10 days from your birthday.
It is 10 days from my birthday, and we haven't fully appreciated
For our
that.
new-ish viewers, it's usually a celebration the whole month of March. Even if it's Laura the only one that's celebrating. But,
but I've been off this March, so things have been a wonk.
Yeah.
It's episode 385. Did we already say that?
Uh-huh.
We did. See, Leslie just took over. I'm just here for the
lulz.
I'm like Waldorf and Statler in the upper balcony just making comments.
That's
down.
a Sesame Street reference.
Nope. Muppets.
Isn't that Sesame Street?
No, Muppets. Those are two different things.
But don't they come from Sesame Street?
No, Muppets. I'm going to just keep saying Muppets over and over again until you realize that
that shows you how much I've watched it. I thought all the Muppets originated on Sesame Street.
I don't know if I can share that. I have something related to that, but I don't think I could share it. Darn it! Oh, anyway, I'll tell you all in like a couple weeks.
I have no idea what she's talking about. But, onto the knitting. So I picked up a project that I haven't touched in probably a month, just because I didn't feel like knitting on the fade or socks. So I picked up the Cypress, which is a vest by Jared Flood. It's an older pattern of his. I think it's like 2012 or something like that, 2013. So it's a little bit older of his.
I've been crushing on some Jared Flood patterns recently.
Yeah.
Like some older Jared Flood patterns that have like popped up in my queue again.
I think that his design has evolved, but I think it's always one of those that anything you knit of his, you'll be able to wear forever.
Yeah, it's like a classic piece in your wardrobe.
So I'm knitting this out of an Aran weight instead of the prescribed worsted weight.
Prescribed?
That's what it says, prescribed.
Does it say prescribed?
No, but I mean
suggested?
Like, whatever. Instead of the worsted weight that it calls for. And I've already finished the back. I had already finished the back, which it was very simple.
But you made some mods to it, didn't you? Or you're making a mod to the front?
I'm making mods to the front.
Okay.
My gauge is different because I'm using a different weight, so I did math, and then I sent a picture of my math to 2 different people to make sure that my math was right, because it's frequently not. And
you basically had like tech editors for your modifications.
For my modifications.
There you go.
So the modifications that I'm making, the way that this vest is constructed, it's knit flat front and back, and then once you get to the underarm, you cast on over the course of like 8 rows. You cast on 5 stitches on each side, and so it gives you a little. It makes
it comes over a little
bit.
The
sleeve it comes over a little
it,
bit,
yeah.
Right? And the way that the pattern is written, you start the V-neck shaping at the same time as the armhole shaping starts. But
so the V-neck would be like me. That would be here, like the armhole. Oh, because armholes, no, it's down further.
Yeah.
Because you start the armhole, and you actually have the
like
armhole
the underbust.
Yeah, so it would be like
so
here.
the broader your bust is, the more surface area you have to go around, the bigger the V-neck.
Ooh.
So that's why I did the modification, because otherwise it would be really deep. And I could see that because of other people posting their patterns on Ravelry. Thank you. Their projects. I appreciate that, especially the busty girls who have knit it before. It helped me decide how I wanted to make that modification.
Yay.
So I knit about 4 inches and then started the V-neck and it's actually written in a weird way. So most of the time when, or at least with me, when I've knit something that splits, like for a boat neck or a scoop neck or whatever, once you get to the point that you split, you break the yarn and you knit one side, and then you come back and you knit the other side.
Yeah.
But he has you knitting both at the same time using 2 separate balls of yarn.
On the same needles.
On
like,
the same
like
needles.
you would be knitting 2 socks
Right.
at the same time. Yeah. But actually, I like that because otherwise I would probably get off by like a row or so on one side.
Right. I mean, if you're making any
2.
modifications to the decreases, it, unless you wrote
That's
it down.
helpful, yeah.
But it also comes with the whole juggling yarn.
Yeah, it does.
So,
are you using like the 2 mini Ziploc method? Okay.
No. I'm putting one ball of yarn on one side of me on the couch and one ball of yarn on the other side.
That's
of me
always
on the couch.
plan. When I say mini Ziplocs, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you can put yarn in a Ziploc and like snip the bottom corner of the Ziploc, and it just rolls around in its Ziploc and tends to get less tangled with other things.
because it doesn't tangle with the other yarn, so it helps. Of course, there's also project bags that are made exclusively for using 2
there
different.
totally are. I think Chicken
schemes
Boots
of
has
yarn.
some.
I know Dorian used to make them, but I don't think she ever did it as a business. Anyhow, so I just started the split. Hopefully I should finish that this week. It's not a whole lot of work. And then I'm going to need to go back and pick up the edging around the collar and the edging around the sleeves.
What kind of edging is it?
And seam ribbing, yeah. And I did selvedge. I did slip stitch on the first stitch of every row, so it should make joining easier.
Was that called for?
No.
Okay.
But I did it anyway.
Yeah, no. Are you talking about joining or seaming?
Seaming.
Okay.
Did I say joining?
You said joining.
Seaming the front and the
I
back.
also said in one of my classes the other day that Musk Ox caveat live in Arkansas when I'm in Alaska.
Oh, yeah, those are different. They both have A's and K's.
They both have A's and K's.
I don't know if our Arkansasian,
How crazy would it
Arkansian
be?
friends.
How crazy would it be if Musk Ox were in Arkansas? That would be amazing.
I feel like we're going to get a link to somewhere in Arkansas that has Musk Ox now.
I don't think we are going to. I don't think that's possible.
3 pattern to the first person that sends us a link to Musk Ox in Arkansas.
I don't think that's going to happen. Now, there are elk in Arkansas because we've seen them.
Those are very different.
You make it sound like there's elk everywhere, and there aren't.
No, you're right. They're not everywhere, but we used to go to the mountains in Arkansas a lot. Michael used to, and so we would go, and we've seen elk there before, but I've never seen a musk ox there. I've never seen a musk ox, period, in person, like in real life.
We should go on a cruise through Alaska, and then we could, maybe.
Yeah, we'll just charge that crap.
Yeah.
I do have a pattern I'm going to start.
Responsible.
I got this from Craftsy. So Laura Nelkin released a new pattern, the novelty sweater knitting kit, and it was a Craftsy like joint.
Yeah,
release.
she's doing a knit along, but she's not doing it. It's the 2. It's Tracy and.
The Grocery Girls.
Yes, the Grocery Girls are doing it.
All right, yeah, because they have a Craftsy show, I think. Where they did. I haven't watched it, so I'm not certain.
They do.
I hear good things.
And they're doing that as a knit along.
Oh, cool.
And it's the Novus construction.
Yeah, that's why I got it, because Laura had just knit a baby sweater with that construction, and she really thought it was interesting, so I decided I would get this kit.
So did you get the cotton yarn that it called for?
I did.
Okay.
It's Cloudborne cotton.
Let's see.
Pima Cotton DK.
Oh, interesting.
So it is. So I got it as a kit. I think I paid like $25 or something for it.
Oh, that's not bad.
This is 100% Pima cotton.
Are you going to use wooden needles or metal needles?
I don't know. I'm going to swatch and see.
Definitely swatch. I would swatch with wooden first.
I'll
seems
see how I feel about it. But it calls for 4, so I'll start with a 5 and swatch and see how that goes, because I usually have to go up. But yeah, so this, I'm going to swatch for it when I finish this vest, but this seemed like a good SSK garment, so...
And she is one of our SSK
teachers.
She is
one of our SSK teachers.
I have another one of her patterns. Would you mind pulling up Ravelry for a second? So she's got another short sleeve pattern that is really, really pretty as well. That's the Novus construction. We're just going to talk about Laura Nelkin for forever.
Sure, she'll be so upset. Do you have any idea of what we're looking at?
So if you go click on her name, and she's got bundles. I also just bought that brioche topper.
Oh, okay.
And one of them is Novus sweaters. Yeah. And then I
this
also,
one?
Yeah, I bought that one.
Pacificus. So let's pull up. Let me do this thing where I can share.
Also, Laura was wearing her Novus jacket, that one that's pictured in at the event, and now I want it even more.
So is that the one we're talking about, Pacificus?
Yes.
Okay.
But she was wearing the Novus jacket, which we can also pull up.
Yeah.
So I totally bought that pattern because I really want to do that.
So thank you for not being a perfect figured person and putting your project up. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone who puts their projects up.
Yes. Oh, that looks really cute on her too.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good projects on this one.
Yeah. I like it. Looks light. It looks fast enough to knit.
So will you go to, are they able to see this?
Yeah.
I don't know if, okay. Will you also go to, close that, yarn ideas? Cause I want to.
Oh, for here? For this? Sorry.
Yeah.
See, I almost never use this.
Oh, I use this all the time.
So it's basically a fingering weight.
Linen blend.
Yeah.
What do I want to
Euroflax. Don't you have Euroflax?
No, I don't. I might have one skein. Keep going down. I don't want to use knit picks.
Sparrow.
Sparrow, but then I'd have to like unravel and do that crazy thing that you were doing. But I do like the idea of Sparrow.
Yeah.
Is that that's a fingering weight, right?
Yeah. It was my first ever fingering weight sweater.
You didn't that's not the one with the chain ply construction. That's the one with the other. And it's organic. I love the idea of that. Yeah. And I'm obsessed with linen and flax right now. Did you know that they like put them in water baths and that's how they like get the fiber out of the middle? They basically let the water like rot around the outside.
I did not.
Yeah. So Ply magazine's whole issue is on linen this time. So when we go to Ply Away, I'm going to purchase it. So the Novus jacket, if you go down, that's what Laura was wearing. Out of that Harrisville Designs turbine.
Oh, okay. That I knit the...
Yeah, and I just bought Quarry to knit it, but I don't think Quarry's quite thick enough.
Yeah, this looks like an everyday kind
of
sweater.
Like on Laura, that's Laura Nelkin, if you don't know people's. It's freaking adorable.
Well,
and she added 3
adorable
jewel closures to it. Like,
yeah, at the top. I saw that in the first picture, maybe. Like this.
Yeah, she added those 3, and I really liked how that looked.
Yeah.
But she had that, like, pea green. So I bought some Brooklyn tweed to knit that, because that's supposed to be, like, a week and a half worth of knitting.
Yeah.
If I would finish the blanket, then I would start that before Ply Away and see if I could get it done.
Well.
But that's crazy pants.
It's not crazy pants. It's just you've already committed yourself quite a bit to the project that you're working on. So
I have. Ooh, I was just thinking we mentioned Ply Away. I need to make sure that I don't have homework for any of my classes.
Yeah, mine's a dyeing class, so I'm pretty sure I don't. Although I should check.
We should check for all of them.
I'm in the dyeing class on Friday. It's an all-day class on Friday. I have no classes on Saturday, and it is wonderful. I have no idea. I paid for it in October, so
yeah.
But it's like natural dyes.
And I think it had indigo, and that was like your main. I'm taking on Friday Judith Mackenzie McCune's like Perfect Art of Plying all day. So that's why I'm thinking there might be homework where I have to like spin singles.
All right. So that you'll have something to ply.
Yeah, so I need to look and see that I'm not supposed to be have 8 ounces of singles spun beforehand, because that would have to
be
sad. Started pretty quickly.
You'd be spinning in the car on the way.
Only on your pocket wheel.
Yeah. Is your mom driving, by the way?
So that's something we need to discuss, because apparently they're buying a new car tomorrow.
Yeah, I remember the Subaru.
Yeah, so they're looking at Subarus. I know y'all care. They're looking at Subarus, and so she doesn't want to, because she's nervous about having the new car and wrecking it on the way, so I might be driving her. Like, she's going to drive here, but she said she could drive the truck the whole way, but then she'll have driven across Tennessee to my house and then up to Knoxville, and I figure you don't want to drive the truck.
No. I want to drive that big monster.
And I can drive the truck, but still... So we could either take your car or my car.
We can figure it out after we record.
But we can figure it out. All right, this is a little glimpse into into our relationship. But Wheezy and I were talking about it earlier, so I was going to discuss it with you after we recorded.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you're working on?
You really want me to let you get
No,
to the end of that
I saw
row?
in the show notes that you were knitting on socks, and so I was just making sure before I started.
Yeah, no, I don't. I am knitting on socks, but I've only knit like 2 rows since you guys saw it last, so it's really nothing to see. Let me get the show notes back up so you can see them. And
She's
then,
talking to me. You guys can't see them at all.
Yeah, and they're not secret. If you go to our website, you'll see them.
I am ready.
Go.
I love this because this is like blocking all my fat rolls. Like, you can't see my body when I'm working on this. It's kind of fun.
Here's mine right there.
Aww. So I am knitting on a hand spun blanket. This is all out of my hand spun, and I am in pound 2 of it. So not literally. I think it's gonna end up like 1 pound 8 ounces around about. I'm gonna weigh it afterwards. But that's like 2 patchwork kits. So this is Lily's scrap blanket. This was the halfway point. So it's going to be 60 inches long. That little white stitch marker right there is 30 inches. And then this is like 15 inches, I think. So I had 15 more to go past this point, and I'm like 3 inches past there. So I am down to, I'm going to show it all to you. I'm going to make Leslie help me now that she started a row. So I am down to needing to knit around 12 more inches. Every 2 inches takes me around 3 hours. So I have around 18 more hours worth of work to go. I figured that out yesterday because I posted another picture of it on Instagram. And so I have a question for y'all because this came up this weekend when we were discussing things. I was just discussing podcasting in general, and I said sometimes when I have big projects like this that seem to last, like I started this in February, early February, the knitting of this. I had started the spinning of it much earlier than that. And so I was discussing with someone else, like when I have a big project, I feel like people don't get as into it because it gets boring because you see it over. It's boring to me and I'm knitting on it. So you see it over and over and over again. But then I posted on Instagram about that, like, I'm sure y'all are sick of this, and everyone was like, no, we love it. So it's interesting to me, like, when we have big projects, I always feel like this is boring, but I tend to knit a lot of accessories in smaller projects anyways, because I get bored easily.
It's our show, so
yeah,
we can do whatever we want.
That's always true.
B, I think this one is, I think something like this is easier to get away with because you can see it change.
Yeah.
Whereas something like the Even Star with big lace, like
exactly.
It looks like cat vomit until you block it at the end.
And it's hand spun, but it's all the same color. So this has definite, like,
right.
And people
it still
were
has
saying
interest.
This has definite interest because of the color repeats changing. I
mean, if you knit nothing but that for 6 months, I might ask you to cast something on and also ask who you are. But I think you're good.
So anyways, I have around 12 more inches to knit on this. I'm really enjoying it. This is how much, this is living in this giant Erin Lane bag. Oop. This is how much I have left on this skein. I had to center pole wind this because when I originally spun it, this is an older,
hand spun?
Yeah. I mean, it's still the patchwork kit and it's still chain plied. But it's when I started spinning for blankets, like a year ago for the chain ply. Yeah, it was right around a year ago that I started that process. It was right before SSK.
Okay.
So it might have been 2 years ago.
Who can keep up anymore?
I know. And so this is going to be the last color sequence.
Oh, cool. And it's got that purple that'll pull in from the...
Yeah, and the red that'll pull in at the end. So when I did this... spinning for this in general, I had a bag of patchwork kits, which is an item from Hello Yarn, and it's all different like scraps that she's pulled together, and they usually have a color sequence. And I just did this for Leslie too because she's spinning one at my house. So I laid it out, and when I laid it out, I made sure one color from the previous was in the next one, And so that's how I laid this out. And I can do an Instagram video of that sometime.
Yeah, so if like the first little bit had like a red and a brown and a yellow,
so I had those browns, so then I made sure the second one had a brown, and that transitioned to this blue with a brown, and then that blue transitioned where it was more blue with a little bit of green right here, and then that transitioned to this green, which then went back to the brown with the green, and then the brown with the green, and then purple with the brown, and kept transitioning down. So brown's like probably the main color of this, because you see it over and over and over again in various forms at various times. So yeah, I'm super happy with it. I did modify the pattern, so this is Lily's scrap blanket, and the main modification I did was I cast on 9 repeats instead of what the pattern calls for. When I did do this, one thing that I would strongly recommend is you cast on I-cord and then pick up the stitches. And when I did that, I made sure I started with a light color so that I could see to pick up.
Okay.
Because you do like all this I-cord, like basically how many repeats you're doing plus a few. So
it's a little bit fiddly at the beginning.
It is, and you need to be able to see the I-cord, the side of the I-cord to pick it up.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'm using a crap ton of stitch markers. So my stitch markers tell me every repeat, which are 20 stitches. And then I have this very fancy unicorn poop one from like Truffle Shuffler to say, hey, this is the side that you actually do the pattern on, lady. After I wasn't doing the pattern on the right side for a while. I'm
a big fan of stitch markers for pattern repeats, or like with the Even Star, it got to the point where there were so many. I think I put it at every 2 pattern repeats.
Oh no, mine are every
so if I got off,
I
would only have to go back like 30 stitches instead of 100.
And I am picking back up Even Star. I'm waiting for this to get over. Yeah. So April might see some work on Even Star, although I got my schedule for state testing where I just walk around a room for hours and hours and hours, and that starts April 16th and goes until May 11th, and that's what I'm doing every day at work.
Oh.
So my brain, like, because I'm not using my brain at work, because I'm just monitoring testing, and I'm not allowed to read the test.
She's not allowed to knit.
I'm not allowed to knit. No. And that's fine. Like, I just walk around a room, monitor kids, give them extra sheets of paper, take up paper, like, take up their tickets, make sure everyone's logged in correctly, all that jazz. So as long as I'm doing all that, then, like, I'm just walking around a room thinking in my head. And so it gets very boring very fast, but also, like, at the end of the day, because I'm not using my brain, I feel completely brain dead. So
I think that I might be okay with that for the first couple days, but after that I'd probably be thinking about all the knitting I could be doing.
And that's what happens, is I start thinking about knitting, and then
I go online and buy something because
it's in my head, and then I'm like, I walked around a room for 4 hours.
I deserve some yarn.
And now I have a 10-minute pee break before I go and do it again, so I'm going to buy yarn in the bathroom while no one can find me. I am someone, this is probably terrible to admit, but I'm sure you guys do it too. When it's like way too loud or I've just been on all the time, I will go to a bathroom and just not use the bathroom, just sit there for a couple seconds to regroup or find somewhere really quiet to just, and usually that's a bathroom.
Mental health is a real thing.
Oh yeah, I posted on Twitter an article by like a first year teacher about how like we prepare the teachers for all the needs of our students, but we don't prepare first-year teachers for how, like, mental health-wise, how exhausting it is to be a teacher, and how the mental health of all your kids, like, you're basically a counselor, and that drains on you and their situations, and it can really affect your mental health.
Yeah, I imagine it's very chaotic from going, especially for, like, first-year teachers, going from an environment where you're learning every day, and you're sitting and you're learning, to trying to control a bunch of, you know, teenagers,
being in charge
young teens.
Or any age kid.
Well, yeah.
Whose, you know, welfare and safety and lives even can depend on you. Anyway, it was an interesting article, and it was like a blog post. I retweeted it a couple days ago if anyone's interested.
when you said that this is bad and, you know, I shouldn't admit this, and then you mentioned the bathroom, I was like, if you tell me that you go in the bathroom in a stall and talk on the phone, we can never be friends again.
No. But I will go in and stand there. If there's not a line, like if there's a line, I'm not going to do it. But if it's like empty, I'll go in the stall, close it, and stand there and fiddle on my phone.
I don't care what you do, but it's like, so when I went into work every day, I work at home most days now, but when I would go into work, I work for a gaming, like a casino company, and behind they call it the back of the house.
Yeah.
Where all the employees are, you know, the restrooms are like public restrooms, sort of, you know, there's 20 stalls, and, you know, everybody uses it from, you know, your kitchen employees to your vice presidents, and, you know, that never bothered me. I don't have any issue with that, but I do have an issue when I go into the bathroom to use the bathroom and there's someone in the stall next to me talking on the phone, so now some random person I don't know is going to hear me pee. That weirds me out. So
I don't know, that doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, that I can't deal with it. Nope. Now that you know way more about me,
about both of us, I think, but mental health is a real thing.
It is. And that happens, you know, for me, a lot at SSK, because I get peopled out, and it's not that I have any issue with...
Well, you're very introverted.
...people necessarily. It's just, it becomes a drain on me mentally, and I just need, you know, I need a 10-minute...
regroup.
Silence, you know.
Cone of silence for Leslie.
Yeah. So, anyhow, I have no finished objects.
I do not either. Although, I didn't tell you my other, like, work in progress, so I should do that. Because we totally got off base.
I have another work in progress, but you can't see it. It's a quilt.
It's on the wall over there.
Yeah, I have one of those felt design walls, and it's all up on there.
I finished my first Smooth Operator sock. So this is the Smooth Operator sock by Susan B. Anderson.
Is this the first time you've done that particular heel?
Nope, I've done it before.
All right.
Once before. It's really different in the line of decreases. So the line of decreases on her heel is, they're closer together, and they're not mirrored. It's to the same. So, on both sides. So, it just creates a smaller, on a traditional wedge afterthought heel. This is, it's a decrease, then a knit one, decrease, and then the opposite side it would be a decrease,
looks like
knit
two
one.
thick lines.
So, it's really 6 stitches that are being made into 4 stitches. But it creates more of a wedge. It's the same shape of a heel, but it's a thicker line of decreases, and hers is a thinner. And she knits hers from the top down. And I even cast on the second one.
Oh.
While I was out to dinner with Susan B. Anderson. Because I'm fancy like
that.
That
is like meta.
Don't get too excited, because it's very wee. So, and that's on Signature 1.5s, because I'm using a sport weight yarn. I'm going to put my gel bee things. Stop laughing at me and my 1.5s. I really need to go down to 0.00s for my sock knitting.
I think I knit my sport on 2.5. Or 3s, maybe.
And this is the yarn. Oop, that's really washing it out. It is much brighter than that. And it is Nomadic Yarns. She just posted some new colorways too in the Harry Potter series. This is the Honeydukes. It's 328 yards of twisty sport. 328 is like the bare minimum of sport weight I can get away with, I think, and still
you have
knit
about
socks
a size
for
10
me.
foot.
Like 10.5. 10.5s are
and
starting
like
to fit me better.
A 5-inch cuff?
Yeah, right around a 5-inch cuff. So, yeah, that's about the minimum that I can do. Also, I broke my bag. The little thing came out because it doesn't have knots at the end.
Oh, I can fix that.
I know. That's why I'm giving it to you.
You're very crafty.
And that's a Annie Light. What is her?
Big Skein.
Little Skein in the Big Wool.
Yeah, I knew it was something like that.
Bag that I pulled the little closure thing off of, because usually they have knots at the end, but mine don't. I threaded that one through. I got the one back through. Leslie's fixing stuff for me. So that is the 2 projects that I've been knitting on. I did do a lot of swatching last week for classes that I taught, because I taught a new class at Madison which I'll talk about a little bit later, but I did do a lot of swatching, but they're not super exciting. They're swatches, so I figured I wouldn't show you all that. And that's all I got. No finished objects for me or for Leslie. While she's fixing that, though, I will show you I don't have spinning other, but I have like what I want to spin next. So the January Hello Yarn Club came in February, because she does the next month, and it is Whisper. It's a organic Polworth silk top, and so I am going to start spinning this as a 2-ply with a very low twist because it's got silk, and I'm going to spin it fairly skinny, and that will make it perfect for lace, because 2-ply is the perfect construction for lace because of the shape of the ply structure.
It's very balanced.
It's balanced, but it's also oblong, so make sure yarn overs look bigger.
Okay.
Just go with it. It's a thing.
I believe
and
you.
And then low twist keeps those yarn overs open as well. So for lace, that's like the perfect structure. And I'm going to spin this for the Patreon winner. And then my other club came, and so did a new toy, so I'm super excited to try this. Even though my bag might be, I thought this bag would be perfect, and I'm not certain it's going to. So, Joanna Spring did the Waves of Wool Club, and the last shipment was a set of batlings, so this is one of the batlings.
Oh, it's over?
Yeah, and she's not doing another one till August.
Well, it's not like she doesn't deserve the break.
No, she's got shows coming up. So I'm going to spin this, and this is a little bag my mom made me. Isn't it cute?
It is cute.
It's got little pockets on the side. And the new toy that I got, this is the yarn that I'm going to use for a leader, which is just crochet cotton. But it's just hanging out in here, because this is going to live in my purse, I think, because it's a small, cute little...
Yeah.
I got a Jian Jenkins from the Woolery. They had them in. They had Jenkins in stock in the Woolery, which is really, I think they get one shipment a year and it sells out pretty much immediately. That's interesting. It's like different. It slides on one side.
Oh yeah.
See,
it's bigger on one side than the other.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. And so that goes down there. It's nice and balanced.
Yeah. So is Jenkins its own company, or are they?
Yes, they're out of like the Oregon area, and they sell at the Oregon festivals, but they don't really sell online. It's really hard to get them online. And they do some really beautiful woodwork stuff, but all their spindles are signed.
Oh, cool. If you show it to them, it's really pretty.
I will. I'm showing it to you first. And so, and they have like, I didn't get the 2 larger kinds. So I think they have 5 total different spindles. See, there was restraint. I didn't get the 2 larger ones because I like my spindles to be around 20 to 25 grams, maybe a little bit lighter.
And if you're coming to SSK, these will be in the tasting room.
So we've had people over the years ask if we could get these for the tasting room, and I've never been able to get them. Man, it's spinning so nicely. I'm excited to try this, because they're really, really hard to find. So I kind of like that it's offset because it just goes in one way. That's kind of cool.
I just wonder if that messes with the balance, but I guess they probably have it weighted.
I think so.
In some way.
So
I have no spinning with me, but I am spinning at Laura's house.
Oh yeah, she totally is. I can attest to this is a true story and not a made up one. And she's storing everything at my house and using one of my wheels. That
way I don't have to transport it. Because I'm at Laura's house 2-3 times a week. So
yeah, she comes over a lot. I don't come over here a lot.
No, well, it's quieter at Laura's house. So I've got, I'm using the Majacroft Rose, and I'm spinning a patchwork kit on it. And Laura asked me before I started if I was going to lay out all the colors, and I was like, no, I'm just going to grab one. And
I took over and laid out all the colors for her.
Which is fine. I mean, it makes no difference to me. So I'm spinning it in thin, and I'm going to chain ply. Thin for me. and then I'm going to chain ply it at the end. I'm only on like the third little bob.
Yeah.
Out of like 15, so.
It's fun though.
Yeah. That was spinning. Books. I am re-listening to the Hidden Legacy series, which is...
Oh, I like that one. And I like the audiobook narrator on that one, too.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
With Alana Andrews. This one is based in Texas.
She tweeted back at me the other day.
Did she?
She had credits the Loopy U and asked what she should buy, the, like, universe. And I was like, you should get some leading men. Because they're one of my favorites. And then she was like, well, what have you knit out of that? And so I tweeted back.
Aww. We love you, Alana Andrews.
I felt very special.
You and your husband.
Oh, Gordon. Yeah, I just felt very special.
Yeah. That would be... So, side note, there's this game that I sort of play with Michael where he... every day gets random packages, like really random packages. And sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 7. The other day I went out there and the package was almost as big as me.
What was it?
A special trash can for the garage for all his like wood and stuff. And he's like, and I can just roll it down to the curb. And I was like, I don't think they're going to pick that up. They only service their own kind of trash cans. But whatever. But there's a game that we play, that I play, where I, like, try to guess what's in it. I'm never right. It's always, you know.
Like, why would you guess a giant trash can for the garage?
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
And one time he paid, like, $15 for a special metal, like, you know, the sink stopper.
Yeah.
He paid, like, why didn't you go to Home Depot and get one for 99 cents? I don't understand. So sometimes it's that, and sometimes it's, like, a super fancy tool. And sometimes it's toilet paper, you know. So it's always a game.
Knowing, yeah.
And when I got a couple packages off the porch the other day, there was one from Dwayne Johnson. And I was like, "Did you buy something from The Rock?"
It was not.
It was somebody else named Dwayne Johnson, but
that would be amazing.
I was very
to have
excited
the
for me.
Same name.
That's what you mentioned, Twitter, and that made me think of famous people, and that made me think of Dwayne Johnson. So that's how that happened.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm reading that, or I'm listening to that, and I read Obsidio, which is the final book in the Illuminae files. I would say it's a pretty satisfactory conclusion to the trilogy. It wasn't as, like, thrilling and oh my god as I had hoped it would be, because it got really, really hyped up. But it was good. I was perfectly satisfied with it. So, I finished that, and then I started Robbie by Ella Frank. Ella Frank is one of my favorite male romance authors. She has a lot on Kindle Unlimited if you happen to like male romance.
Check her out.
She wrote the whole Tate series, which is one of my favorites, and I have it on audiobook as well.
Alexa thinks you're talking to her.
That's Siri.
That's Siri. Oh my gosh, why do all my digital assistants have different names? What did she think you were doing?
She's trying to play a song called One of My Favorites by Cannabis. Sorry.
None of those words actually came out. You didn't say, hey, Siri.
But I said one of my favorites. I said she's one of my favorites. Maybe I said it in a way that sounded like Siri. I don't know.
Like, hey, Siri?
I don't know. I don't even use the hey, Siri, so... Oh. Did she light up? And she didn't light up when I just said that. Okay, so that's what I'm reading. What about you?
I started today, actually yesterday, a new book called The Traitorous Game by Jennifer Nielsen. That's the author of The False Prince, who I really, really liked. And also, that's a trilogy. It's a young adults fantasy trilogy where it's like the narrator's lying to you the whole time. I love those. Like deceiving you. Have you not read that? I think you would like it. I kind of, if you like The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner, which I've talked about before, which is one of my absolute favorites, I would definitely check out the False Prince series by her. And then she also wrote a book called A Night Divided, which is about the Berlin Wall. It's a historical fiction that my kids read in 8th grade, and a lot of them love that book. But anyway, she's got a new fantasy called The Traitorous Game. It just came out the end of February. I got an ARC assigned. I have an autographed ARC that I got.
Is Advanced Reader's Copy?
It is. In November, and I forgot about it, and so I needed something that I knew I was going to love, and so I pulled that out, and I'm reading that, but I'm only 8 pages in. But it's good so far. So the main character was exiled by her father. Her father is some high up in the military or the government, and she was exiled after a kidnapping attempt, and she's been left to kind of like roam free with just servants as the only adult presence, like a cook, a bodyguard, and her lady's maid. And so she's had like 3 years of absolute freedom, and now she's a carriage, like basically an iron box, a protected carriage comes to get her and take her back to like the capital. So like in one fell swoop, she's losing all the freedom that she's had.
Yeah.
And I believe she's about to be kidnapped again. So, but she's a strong female character. I don't want to be like, oh, she's getting kidnapped.
Yeah.
She seems like she does archery and swords play for fun type stuff. Not so good at the embroidery, but she seems like she's a strong female character. So I'm excited to see where this goes. And I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy, because she tends to write trilogies, although she has written some standalone books. And Scholastic's who publishes her novels. Oh. So I like the way she writes a lot. So I'm excited about this. She also has another series that's like ancient Rome fantasy. So Kevin will probably like her as well, I would think.
Sorry, those are my dogs barking. Don't know why.
Yeah, it happens.
Could just be that there are geese outside, which they're there every day, and they always have been, but suddenly it's like the first time. So,
oh, poor
I think
puppies.
Like It's the First Time should be the episode name.
Like It's the First Time. Man, we're 385 episodes in. It is not the first time, but we are chattering like it's the first time ever.
Meh.
It happens. Under favorite things, I went to the Madison Guild Knit-In, and it was so much fun. I got there on Friday, and I got there a little bit early, and so I went down and ordered pizza, and I was waiting for it in the lobby, and I ran into Knitting Apron Lady and her sister. I know Knitting Apron Lady because we've met up at teacher, like when I go to these events, like these teaching events, sometimes she's there, and we meet up and knit. So I met her at ILA several years ago, and she's just the sweetest. She trains teachers. So, and her sister is also involved in education. And so we just had some lovely conversations. They're wonderful people. She's from Bowling Green, Ohio, and her sister's from Green Bay, maybe? And so I got to hang out with them and a bunch of other people, which were really, really fun. And then Friday night, I was on a panel of national teachers. It's the first panel I've ever been on, and they are probably regretting having me on that panel because I talked an awful lot. And then, like, that night, I couldn't go to sleep because I was like, man, I probably said some really stupid stuff. And I'm one of those people that internalizes stuff and has to, like, repeat it in my head over and over and over again. But I was on the panel with Patty Lyons, who, it was really, really interesting to me because we all have very different backgrounds. Yeah. So Patty Lyons is professionally a knitting teacher, but she also has done a ton of magazine work in the past, and she does technique-based classes primarily. And then
Susan B.
Anderson was at the end, and Susan B., has her own yarn line now. And she teaches, and she does a ton of, like, self-published designing. And then she also does she's published a lot of books, too. Yeah.
And she's adorable, and you want to put her in your pocket.
I always want to carry her home with me. Like, I just want her to come live at my house and just hang out all the time.
I want her to come live at my house, but at the same time, my house will never be clean enough to host her. Or anyone.
And next to Susan was Laura. So I was in the direct middle. So on my right was Susan and Laura Nelkin, who also I want to put in my pocket. Yeah. And mainly I just want her to boss me around and tell me what to do all day. Because she's like a leader. Like, no, she's like, she gets stuff done, and I need her to get stuff done for me. But also, like, her brain is magical. She was doing, like, double-sided lace with beads as we were, just like, as we were out for dinner. She's
like
doing,
you do.
Yeah, like, double-sided lace with beads, and I was like, I'm never going to be that good of a knitter. But she does a lot of self-publishing, but she also works with people like Craftsy, and both Susan and Laura also do a lot of Craftsy classes. I think Patty's done some before, too. And then Katie Larson, who's a big name spinning person who works for Interweave.
Okay.
She does a lot of like F&W blogging, and she did the was it Spinner's Guide to Wool? Did we review that? I felt like we did. Yeah. Okay. So the Spinner's Guide to Wool, and she was wearing like hand woven garments out of hand spun. And came in wearing like red Doc Martens, and I was like, we will be friends. I'm pretty sure this is going to happen.
Sort of against her will or not.
And I was working on the blanket, and she's like, this is gorgeous. And I'm like, oh my God, a professional spinning teacher's looking at my spinning. And then there's me, who's just being famous for talking a lot. So
I love that you got stuck in the middle.
And they put a microphone right here, and I was like, I do not need that.
She really doesn't.
So hopefully I didn't make too big of a fool of myself. There were some really, really good questions. I did kind of go on a tangent. There was a beginning designer, and she's like, how do you get published? And like, I went on this tangent about like, don't, make sure that you are getting money for your patterns if it's being published by someone. Just because you're new doesn't mean you don't have value as a designer. So anyway, I went on like a feminist tangent type thing about how everyone's worth something, and anyway, y'all don't need to hear that. So that's what I was like, oh gosh, I hope I didn't go like too crazy.
It just amuses me that, and you're not wrong, and you're not using it wrong, but like the concept that everyone has worth regardless of gender comes off as feminism, because I mean it is feminism. Feminism at its core is equality. It's not putting a woman above a man. It's just equality. The irony of it just burns me.
Well, I feel like knitting is now you got me started. So knitting as an industry, the majority of people who work in the industry are female, but the majority, like when we go to TNNA, a lot of like the big names in the larger companies, are like the reps, are men.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting because I used to work at a yarn store, and the reps would all be men for the most part who didn't knit,
right,
but who are selling knitting products. But I feel like sometimes people are under the misconception that like if you own a knitting store, you get to knit all day.
Yeah.
And it's not a business. It shouldn't have it needs a business plan. It's a business. Like, you should have experience in the field before you get into it, like all these things. But because it's primarily women knit, people think like if someone comes up to me and they see me knitting, they're like, oh, you can knit me that too.
Right.
Like my time doesn't have value.
Right. Or it doesn't have the same value.
Yeah.
Right.
So because it's a field that's primarily women, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that everyone should be equal and everyone's worth, even new designs are worth money if they're done well.
Yeah. I mean, I think to some degree you're going to get out of it what you put into it, but yes, you shouldn't feel pressure to offer patterns for free just because you're new,
or send them to a magazine and get less money because you're a new designer.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway,
we could have a whole episode talking about this.
We could.
Several, probably.
Yeah, that's truth. Anyway, so I was on the teachers panel, and then bright and early Saturday morning, I think my first class was at 8:30. I got up, did breakfast, and I went to my first class, which is my favorite class to teach. Don't tell the other classes. And that's making the best yarn choice. And my people, that's a class that's very driven by questions. So when you come in, I ask you to write down what questions you have about the topic. So I make sure that I'm answering. It's a class that I think I do this differently than everyone else, in that I want your questions so that I make sure I'm giving you the information that you want.
Well, I feel like in a class like that, the making the best yarn choice kind of class, I think that to some degree it can be kind of an info dump, and
it is an info dump, I will say that.
So I think coming in with your own questions and relating these topics to your own hobbies is going to help you remember that stuff better.
Yeah, and it's just choosing yarn that works best for the projects that you want to knit, or vice versa. And we finished actually 10 minutes early, so we went down on a field trip to the market, and I totally put Jean on the spot. So Jean is the owner of Two Guys Yarn Company.
He and David.
And they mill the majority of their yarns. So he picks the fleeces, and then he decides what he's combining them with, like what type of nylon, because there's different types of nylon.
Yeah.
If it's a BFL, and he's deciding how skinny the singles are going to be and how they're being processed, if they're going to be steamed in the middle or what's happening there, if there's going to be spinning oil. And then he decides on how much twist he wants added. So, like, for knitters to see that, and he did not know that I was coming down. And he doesn't
surprise.
And he doesn't like talking in front of people. But
so what people have learned is to not be your friend.
Pretty much, yes. But he had his 3 BFL blends that we talked about on the show, which have very low twists, which are perfect for shawls. And he also had his new shawl kitten pattern, which was amazing. It's such a clever design, because it's this giant shawl, but it's got ribbing here, and then the bottom corner has ribbing, so when you put it up here, the ribbing kind of locks on each other.
Oh, neat.
So it stays put. Isn't that cool? Like, he was telling me that, and I was like, you are amazing.
Is it on Ravelry?
It is.
Sorry, I'm gonna look that up here.
I don't know what Jean's real name is. It's in my library, though, because he gifted it to me.
Let's see. Add window capture.
So anyway, that was my first class. I'm going to talk while she's doing this. And then my second class was Afterthought Heels, which is a technique-driven class. And usually in that class, I have someone who melts down because you're learning Judy's Magic Cast-On right off the bat. And it's a very, very difficult cast-on to learn, especially when there's other people around you and there's someone coming around and staring at you doing it. And I even had a lady who knits left-handed, like, backwards, and everyone got it, like, right away.
Oh, cool.
And it was amazing. No one knew it beforehand, and they all caught it in there. And there were some viewers in that class that were in that class. Every single class, everyone was so sweet and kind and nice to one another, which I love. So...
Is it Jean Draper?
Yeah, it is. Go you. Yeah, it's that one. The Crosswind shawl. It is so gorgeous in real life.
Okay, so let's look at this.
Do you see the ribbing detail?
Here.
Right there. And it's right at that corner.
Yeah.
And right there.
Oh, okay. So
See?
It sort of sits in there.
Yeah, so when you pull it up, it, like, sits in kind of, like... And it's got a 2-color, like, the last color on the bind-off is a different color, which really makes it pop. Do you see?
Oh, yeah.
It's a really pretty shawl.
Neat.
In real life. And it's huge. It's like wearing a blanket.
So it's a 3-color shawl.
It is. So that is, like, super high now. Yeah, it's 1,400 yards.
Let's add that to my queue.
And it's in your library, too.
Yeah, I think he sent it to me.
He sent it to us.
Save changes.
And it is amazing. And it uses their snowball yarn, which is, like, their one with the shiny nylon, I think.
Maybe I'll get some from them at SSK.
Yeah, they had kits. And then you can see the shawl on purpose. There's a red line there, and it's bothering me. But I don't know why
I have the
there.
edit scene thing on. That's why.
Okay.
Magic.
So that was, like, the first design that I was like, I must knit this right away. And then I had my Afterthought Heel class, which was tons of fun. And everyone was really good about cutting a stitch, too. So that was great. And then I ran down to Market and said hi to Steve and Andy. And I only bought one thing for me at Market, y'all.
Steve and Andy are leading men fiber arts.
And I bought a pair of toddler sock blockers.
You did.
Because really, I had no room in my luggage for anything. So I didn't get to buy much. I bought Leslie a skein of yarn. Mainly because the woman was really, really kind, but also it was gorgeous, and it was 600 yards.
Cool.
Which I thought would be perfect for you.
Yeah, it kind of has a galactic look to it.
Yeah, it's very... And I thought, like, if you did another fade type or another, like, 3-color shawl, 600 yards is always good to have. And it's got a sparkle base to it. I can't remember who it was from, but she's very nice. I think she's from Michigan. And I said hi to Janine of Sun Valley. And
Jeanette.
Oh, Jeanette. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. And then I tried a woman's wheel. That was at lunch. So there was a dealer there. Is it Spinsy Whimsy or something? She's going to be at Flyaway, too. She's really, really sweet. and she didn't have the one that I wanted.
The polywog?
No, she had the polywog there. We already decided I didn't want the polywog. Stop.
It's okay. That was rude of me. There's nothing wrong with the polywog. It's just little, and it's made for people who are little.
And I'm not little.
And, well, it's not that, but like only Laura's toes can fit on the treadles. Well,
everyone's toes fit on the treadles. It's like you treadle with your toes. But yeah, it's a tiny wheel, and it's meant for children.
Yes.
And it shakes when I, like, because I go fast.
You do.
No, this was the B that I tried, but I wanted the difference between the new wheel, which is their art yarn wheel that just came out.
The worker bee?
Yes, the worker bee. And this one is just the fact that the worker bee comes with a bobbin that'll hold a pound, I think. I might be wrong. It might be 8 ounces, but it comes with, like, a larger bobbin system. Yeah. So as I was like, hey, can I try that? She sold it. Oh. But the lady who bought it was like, sure, just go ahead. And so I got to play on her wheel while she was paying for it for a little while.
Cool.
I did learn it's got like a giant hook on the front instead of like a delta orifice. So if you draft off to the side, it kept popping off for me, and that was irritating. So I would have to draft straight on. But Elizabeth and the woman who did this, who was running the stall, said there's like this PVC thing that you can get to make it like a delta orifice, which we could pay for, or I'm sure Michael could figure out how that works. Also Saturday, this is a random side note, I got a text from my dad asking where my shop vac was, and I was like, it's in the garage underneath the table. Why do you need the shop vac? And he and my mom decided to like totally gut my guest bathroom and redo it all.
Yeah, her parents were in town watching Pearl and Humberto.
Yeah, and so they got bored, so they were only going to install like a new toilet because they wanted a taller toilet for when they visit. Okay. It's an old person thing, I guess. And also because that toilet was not the best toilet in the world. It was original to the house.
Yeah.
And so that was the one thing that they were supposed to do, was install a new toilet. Well, my mom saw a watermark on the ceiling from before I got the new roof. So she started like messing with that, and then decided to take down the entire popcorn ceiling. And when she took down the ceiling, it also took some of the paint off the walls. So then she repainted the walls, and then she decided she wanted to get install new flooring. So she bought new flooring, and then they put the toilet in. So basically, I got a new bathroom and a bill for that when I came back, which is fine. And then Sunday, I taught 2 classes, one of which was a new class to me. So I was really, because they asked me for a 90-minute class, and I didn't have any, so I tweaked something. So anyway, I did attached lace edgings, which is super fun. It's a great class because people get very intimidated by that, and it's lots of fun. And you knit like a little doll whiz popper shawl. But then we also talk about the perfect yarns for lace, which we kind of talked about today, and different types of increases and how they change things, and just like some great conversation.
Yeah.
They also heard about my bathroom because really I teach, but also there's like in that class there's like lots of moments where people are just knitting across rows.
Right. So it's quiet.
So it's quiet, and instead of them being bored and having quiet, I do like, I'm just me. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And so after that class, I went back to the market and just walked right through. That's when I bought your skein of yarn. And helped Laura Nelkin pick out handspun, which was fun because my next class was knitting with handspun. That's my new class that I'm offering, and it is basically taking a lot of the elements of make the best yarn choice, but taking that with handspun that you already have and how to use that handspun or spin in the future for and that's it's not a spinning class, but it's talking about spinning structures and how you can use that to pick the perfect project for your yarn. So I thought it was lots of fun. I probably could have been a 3-hour class, and I felt so bad at the end of that class because I wanted to talk to people, but it ended at 3:30 and I had to be on the 4 o'clock shuttle to leave for the airport because my flight was like at 5:30 or 6. It was at 6. And so I had to like hustle and flow to pack up all my samples. And Oh, I also got to hang out with Sue Carlock, who I met years and years ago at Paula's retreat, and she's so cool. But she was also telling me about professional tractor pulling. Which, did you look it up?
No. Laura mentioned this last night when I was at her house, but my first question was, are they pulling tractors?
No,
or
the tractors are pulling
something.
And I guess the national competition or whatever is actually in Bowling Green, Ohio. So bringing it back to Knitting Apron Lady.
I thought Bowling Green was in Kentucky.
There's 2.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so every single person was really sweet. I just had such a good time. Therese did such a good job of doing the panel. That was the person who, what's that called when you lead
like
the
an organizer?
Panel? Yeah. Stacy was the organizer of the event that I worked with. Everything was on point, and they had vegetarian meals for every single thing, which is really important for me as well. So I had such a great time, and I was super inspired. I saw a lot of Laura Nelkin's patterns, including that sweater she was wearing, so now I definitely want to knit that. Oh, Susan B. Anderson on Sunday came up, and she was wearing My Hope.
Aww.
Out of Cakewalk Yarns.
Cakewalk! Aww.
So...
2 blasts from the past.
I know, but she's teaching a shawl, the one that she taught at SSK where it's all the different shawl shapes.
Yeah.
And so she had all her samples, and now, I want to knit a whole bunch of her shawls again, too. So I was super inspired by what people were wearing. I saw some gorgeous knitwear. I saw some Stephen West sweaters. And a lot more shawls than sweaters, which was surprising to me. But... you dress in layers at events like that. And my room was frigid, and some lady told me I had cold hands. I went to help her, and she went, "Oh, you have very cold hands." And it was very cold in that room. So then I felt bad because I had my cold, dead corpse hands going.
Yeah, you do have cold hands.
I do. When it gets cold out, I do. So it was so much fun, and it was good catching up with everyone. So that was Madison. I hope to go back sometime. And I made my connection, even though I had to run. I made it. So, I got home, and my luggage got home, too.
Yay.
I carried on all my hand knits, but I got an eBags backpack that kind of, zips open like luggage. So, I used the crap out of that at both Buffalo and this.
You'll have to put the link in the episode thread.
Yeah.
For your super special bag.
It's just an eBags backpack that zips open. Junior or something. It won't fit under a seat, though. I thought it would when I bought it, but it's 19 inches long, and they have to be 18 inches long to fit underneath the seats.
I wonder if that varies by airline.
It does.
No.
Because United allows 19, I think, but Americans 18. And Delta, when I flew Delta to Buffalo, they didn't have the underneaths of the seats divided between the seats. Yeah. It was just...
I've been on flights like that before. So we are going to Flyaway in a couple of weeks.
We are. I'm super excited. Mama Linneman's coming with us.
Yes. Which is nice, but this will actually be the first event where Mama Linneman's taking a spinning class that I'm not taking with her.
I know. What are you going to do?
I'm going to take my dyeing class on Friday, and then Saturday I'm going to do nothing except probably shop.
Yeah, so I'm not taking a Saturday morning class, but I am taking a Saturday afternoon class. I'm taking one on fiber blends that work well and fiber blends that do not work well with Judith McKenzie, which is totally in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, that sounds very
So, combining fibers, so I'm excited about that. And I keep thinking about adding a Saturday morning because Jillian had one.
It's not that... I love Jillian, and I love JC, and I love several of the teachers that are going to be there, but...
Someone canceled last minute. There was one opening, and it's her new class, but...
For me, it's if I take that many classes, then halfway into, the second or third one, I will retain nothing, because I'll just be thinking, I want to get out of here, I want to get out of here, I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
So, but that's me. That's not
what you
Laura.
think during all classes.
This is true. It started with Sanger and Griffin, and it just went from there.
She's not teaching anymore, so no. I think we can say that.
Yeah, that was Loopy U.
That was where we lie on the floor and visualize our stitches.
Yeah. I'm gonna lie on this carpeted hotel convention floor. Yeah, totally.
That was an interesting class. It was in Tarsha in the Round.
Yes. Still can't do it.
I don't know that I don't know that I learned how to do it in that class. Like,
I think I faked a phone call and then skipped the rest of the class.
Now that I'm remembering this correctly.
Yeah,
and
don't
I
feel
was
bad
like,
at all.
I spent money for this class. I'm invested in this class. And then I got out and I was like, I still don't.
I'm willing to just let that money go.
Yeah.
Enough talking crap about people. We have a Patreon drawing.
We do.
So the spinning prize is the one that Laura's going to start with the Hello Yarn Whisper. And
it's hard to see, but it's purples and greens and golds and a light pink. And it's a Polware silk blend.
Alright, and this is going to be for anyone who has donated during the month of February.
And if that's not your jam, just send me a PM real quick.
Swap it.
And we'll swap it out.
Alright, so that's going to be between 18 and 62. So we're going to go to random.org and we're going to say, give me a number between 18 and 62. 51. That is Lissa Stavin, and she is in Washington.
Oh, good.
So, Lissa, if you like the colors of that spinning, then you're golden.
Or if you like lace. If you don't do lace at all, that probably wouldn't work for you either.
Let's fill this with a color. There we go. And then for the yarn prize, I pulled out. This is the SSK 2017 Miss Babs colorway. I always grab one, and when I can remember, I grab more than one for like a prize or a gift or something. So I grabbed this at SSK this year. But Babs always does an SSK colorway. Mm-hmm. And we're very grateful and thankful because Babs is lovely and the people are great and they have great kits and great patterns.
Oh yeah,
and
Jennifer's amazing. Who comes every year. We love her.
So this is Tennessee Cabin Retreat.
So it's got like a goldish, brownish yellow, and then like a teal, and then a darker blue. Yeah. It's really, really pretty. I have a skein for myself. Yes, I do too. I actually got the glittery one for myself, which is unusual. I don't. Yeah. These colors, I don't usually do the glittery. But anyhow, so this is the prize for this month. If you end up hating this particular color, let me know. We can swap it for something else. But this is the one that we're putting up. And this is for our $2.50 donators. And that starts on our worksheet. The reason we don't share our worksheet when we're doing the drawing is because it's got like addresses and stuff, personal information. Yeah. So you'll just have to trust us that we're truly being random here. So that starts at number 64 and ends at number 122. So we're going to go over to our random number generator and put in 64 and 122 and generate number 85. Number 85 is, keep going, Debbie Pfister, and she is in New York, Brockport, New York. Huh. So Debbie, once I hear from you, let me know one way or the other if you like the color. If you don't, that's fine. I've got other stuff you can pick from, and we'll get this sent out to you once I hear from you. I've got your address. I know where you live. So I think that is it. I think so. Yeah, we still got one more episode before Plyway, so we'll talk a little bit more about it next week. Yeah. And that's my birthday week. It is. All week long. Laura will be getting old. We have to take you out to dinner Friday night. Yes. I want like a tiara. A drag queen tiara. Not just a tiara, like a tiara with sparklers like on the top. Like the full on. If I get it, you're wearing it. And I'll make every person in that restaurant sing you happy birthday. Like that's gonna be a thing that won't happen. Or a problem at all. That's true. You're gonna be the person who gets embarrassed about people singing, not me. This is true. This is something... See, I know you're not gonna do it because other people. No. If it's not for me, then okay. I don't care. Like, and that's something I told Laura forever ago, and remind her frequently that if she ever has someone come and sing to me for my birthday, I will get up and leave in the middle of the song and not feel bad about it because it's not my jam. Which makes me want to do it so much more. Yeah. But I've resisted. Because I'm a good friend. That's the word on the street.
She doesn't want to be left in the restaurant all by herself.
It might be worth it.
You'll only do it once. Okay. Well, you guys have a good week, and we will talk to you again next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.